Hi, I'm Weston.
I'm Luke.
I'm a pizza maker and an employee at Dry Storage, Boulder.
And I'm the head baker at Dry Storage in Boulder. We are a bakery and mill. We source all our grains from the San Luis Valley and mill them on a New American stone mill up in Boulder.
Today we're going to make two different styles of pizza. We're going to do a square pie in a white pan, and we're going to do some round pizzas for you out of this beautiful oven.
All right, so we're going to start mixing our pizza dough. In front of me is all of our ingredients just meased out. We have 95% of our water right here. It's heated to about 110 degrees. That's kind of a good place to have your hand mixed water because your dough will cool down considerably. This is our starter. I find that just having a super active, happy starter can kind of just compensate for any mistakes that happen along the way, so that's a good thing to look out for. Then we have the remaining 5% of our water that we'll add with our salt. Over here is our bread flour. Right now it is just Eucora Rojo, and we lightly sift it, so we're getting about like 90% extraction on it. And so for the first part of our recipe, we're just going to combine our starter and our water like that. Just break it up a little bit. You going?
Yeah.
Thanks. And then our flour will just go right in on top. Pretty much just gonna mix this until it's combined. Can't really overmix it at this point. You wanna make sure everything is really hydrated and nice, or else your autolyse isn't really doing that much. Having the starter in there, as opposed to how a lot of people like to autolyse dough with the starter out, actually helps strengthen our dough through the lower pH and the fermentation. Once we get this mostly incorporated, start getting a little bit more aggressive with it. So I just do kind of like a diving arm motion. You're just trying to like tear the dough a little bit and pull it. Let's see it coming together. In about 30 seconds, when it just doesn't want to pull apart anymore and tear too badly, we'll stop mixing and let it rest for about an hour. And then at that point, we'll add our salt and reserved water. Great. So this is pretty much there to me. You can see it just wants to hold together in like one piece. No real big tearing. And we're good. It's that easy. We'll cover this up and let it sit for an hour. So our dough has had its hour autolyse with the starter in. And I don't know how you can see it, but it's probably gained about like 15% in volume, which is pretty standard. And it's like got all this strength, it holds together, and it's smooth. And that's what we're really looking for. I'm just gonna detach it really quick. And then we'll add our salt and just hydrate it with water. And I always find that this is holding back a little bit of water. Not only helps you kind of dissolve the salt, but adjust for hydration if you need to. But this is feeling pretty good, so go for it. We've always found that Cora Rojo is just like really nice and versatile. You can push the whole grain with it really well, especially if you're milling it fine. And because we're in such a dry climate, and our grains are super dry, therefore, it makes it a lot easier for us to mill this grain super fine and get like as much bran and wheat as we can in there without it hurting the dough. All right, so our salt is in there, and I'm just kind of doing a pinching motion with my thumb and finger to break up the dough. And now I'm gonna go back to that like diving arm motion and just try to tear it a little bit and bring it together. Should be right here. So I just like to just kind of poke my finger in there and make sure there's no salt that I can feel. And then we'll take our dough and just kind of give it a little fold to create some tension up front. And place it in our bin, and we'll come back to it in 15 minutes for the first fold. Great, so our dough has sat for about 15 minutes and we're ready to do our first fold on it. And basically, see right there, when I'm hand mixing, I don't really put oil or fat in my container, so I'll just use a wet hand and attach the sides. Good there, and then just do it again. You can fold however you like. I like the coil method, where you're basically just rolling the dough on itself. And then turn it and roll it again. And you can get it back into like this nice little pouch. And we'll cover it up and come back in 15 minutes and repeat the process 3 more times until you hit the hour point in your bulk. And then if the dough is feeling strong enough, which it should be, we'll just let it sit for about 2 to 3 hours until our dough has about increased in volume by like 50%, feels really gassy and light, and from there we'll shape. Great. Okay, so our pizza dough has been fermenting for about 4 hours. If you can see, it's just really gassy, but still strong and retaining its shape. It's about 50% increase in volume, give or take. And if you're making this yourself, timing could be a little bit different. We hit about 80 degrees on our dough temperature and kind of were able to hold it there the whole time. If you are a little bit colder, a little bit hotter, just adjust accordingly. All right. We're gonna portion this into our Detroit pizza.
So these are Lloyd pans. We have it slightly olive oiled. You don't want to do too much olive oil or the dough will pull back slightly when you bake it. So just a little bit of olive oil. These are great pans, but you can use a sheet tray or anything you have at home, or even like a cast iron pan. These just have a really nice little coating on them that prevent the cheese from sticking. And into this, we're gonna do 900 grams of dough. And the rest we're gonna ball into pizza dough. For our pizza dough balls, we're doing,
Tiny scale, tiny scale.
That goes in there, and then we'll flatten it out a little bit and then wrap it for a couple more hours.
Yeah, and you're really just, it's light touches at this point with that dough. You want to keep it as light and airy as possible. and we've pushed our dough pretty far, so.
For pizza doughs, we're gonna do, they're between 12 to 14 inch pizzas, and they're about 300 gram balls. Luke's using a more traditional like bench scraper, a plastic dough card. I'm just using a paint scraper I got at the hardware store. I like these a lot.
And there are, a million ways to ball dough. We just do it with bench knives because we think it's just as gentle and like nice as possible for it. Yeah, so that's that.
All right, so we got our square pie ready to go. We've kind of been, it was wrapped, so we kind of been pressing it out a little bit just to help get it into the full pan. So what I like to do here is, first of all, pull the corners out. So a little bit of olive oil, and then you want to get kind of underneath it and kind of pull out towards that corner. And do that all around. And then what we'll do is kind of go through like your dippling focaccia, because essentially it's a lot like a focaccia at this point.
Right, where's the line?
Where is the line? So I like to kind of more olive oil and then press kind of outwards so you fill those corners. Do a spin, do the same thing over here. Do a spin. All right, and then this will go into the oven at a 650 degree oven for about 7 minutes, but a home oven probably 7 to 10 minutes. And you just want to make sure it's cooked all the way through, getting some color on the top, and then the cheese will come. All right, so we have our pizza blind baked. Looks really nice. Luke did a great job with the dough. So like I said, we only put a little bit of olive oil in it, so we're gonna pop it out and put a little bit more in so the bottom kind of gets that fried, crispy flavor. Nice. So this was baked for 7 minutes at 650-ish, top and bottom. In a home oven, you could go as hot as it'll go, I would say, and it'll probably take maybe 10 minutes or so. You're not looking for too much color on top, just nice bake through, and you'll get nice color on the cheese. Put that back in there. So we just have some, it's actually a 50-50 blend of whole milk and skim milk mozzarella. You can use just skim milk mozzarella or any cheese you really like. Cheddar has a tendency to cook a little weird. So what we're gonna do is kind of pile up on the sides. There's a small crack where the pizza pulls back from the pan a little bit. We want to pile cheese on the side so that it goes into that crack and you get those nice like Detroit style crunchy mozz sides that are so delicious and super in right now, I think.
What's the benefit of doing the 50-50 whole milk, skim milk mozzarella?
The straight up whole milk mozzarellas stay really white, I find.
Okay.
You get like, I feel like a little bit better.
So like the extra
browning,
protein,
yeah. The extra fat just behaves slightly differently.
Gotcha.
And fresh mozzarella, I mean, it's just too wet, so it'll just release a bunch of water and it'll be all strange.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. It may look like it's gonna fall over the sides, but as that melts in, it'll all come together. You might end up with a little bit dripping in the oven, but boom.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna throw this guy in the oven. This oven might be a little bit hot, so we're just gonna keep it towards the back, but I would say another 7 to 10 minutes in a home oven, as high as it'll go. Thank you. Alrighty. All right, so we're gonna pop this guy out. I just like to run a knife along the edge, make sure we don't break up that cheese crust too much. But yeah, this looks great. Then we're gonna hit it with some sauce. We use Bianco di Napoli's at all our restaurants. California grown, really good, kind of San Marzano style tomato. I really like them. But this looks beautiful. Get those cheesy sides.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I find if you don't bake it long enough and get those sides, your dough, the cheese might just stick and tear. So to fix that, just put it back in the oven and get it nice and crispy.
Yeah, if you don't cook it enough, it'll just kind of fall apart. You would need that caramelization on there. All right, you want to sauce it?
No.
All right, so I like to do just 2 long strips along the center. It's kind of the Detroit style. You don't end up with a too saucy slice, but you get some sauce on it. You get the acid from the tomatoes on everything. And then we'll hit it with some olive oil.
Do we have a spoon?
No. Just hit it with this guy.
Bold move.
Some olive oil. And finito. Beautiful. Done.
Wow, chef.
All right, we've got this beautiful thing sliced. There's a little cross section, crumb shot, cheese, beautiful. You wanna cheers?
Oh my God, I'd love to. Boink.
Blank. This is good.
No. Great job.
All right, so we've got our dough balls here. I like to hit them with a little bit of flour so they don't stick to your hands as you pop them out. These have been in ball for 2 or 3 hours. They're looking ready to go. So slide dough card underneath, pop it into some flour. I like to give it a flatten out, make sure this flour is all distributed around it, and then you start to build your crumb. So I kind of press out towards the corner to the outside. Kind of build the crumb a little bit, and then work your fingers through the middle, flip it over, do the same thing. All right, now we're gonna kind of get rid of some of this flour so you don't end up with a bunch of burnt flour on the bottom of the pizza. And in your hand, I like to flip back and forth. Still feels very nice. So I'm kind of rolling it as I flip it, and then do 1 or 2 of these. Land it down there. So we're gonna do the Basta Daisy pizza first. So I've got some Bianco di Napoli tomatoes again with a little bit of salt, some fresh mozzarella, some grana, and some basil. So just do a thin layer of this. If you do too much, it can get kind of saucy, and this pizza doesn't bake for very long, so you gotta be careful about liquids. Spread that out. Nice coating. For the mozzarella, you can break it up, you can cut it into cubes. I kind of like to do just little pinches, spread it all around. Avoid putting it in the center, because if you put a piece of cheese in the center, when you go to cut it, that's just going to drag and be all weird. Some basil on there. And then we'll hit it with a little crumb on top. Then a little olive oil. All right, go grab our peel. The holes are nice because flour will fall through them, but if you want to, you can build on a wooden peel or even a cutting board if you don't have to there. I like to throw a little bit of flour on there. We're gonna lift, slide, kind of fix it up on the board a little bit. Then come here, drop it on your hot spot. If you don't have a wood-fired oven at home, a Stefano Ferrara, you could do this on one of those grill stones, or you can do them in a home oven on really hot heat with a pizza stone, or I really like those baking steels that they sell if you're gonna do it at home. They get better color on the bottom. Do you want to find me a plate to drop this on? Oh, this is something nice.
Okay.
Let me give it a little spin.
So are you basically looking for color at this point, or is there another doneness check?
Yeah, just looking for color. This is going to bake so fast that, and also making sure you don't burn the bottom. Getting this color on all sides. I see it looks good. Considering you're going to get a round pizza in a couple weeks.
Crushed. Dude.
Alrighty, so there is our Daisy pizza. Alright, we're back. We're going to do another pizza. We're going to do a cart driver pizza, unrelated to the other restaurant of that name that we don't talk about. So same thing, flatten out the dough a little bit, start to press out your crust, working it. Careful not to press out that crust. Same thing, lift, spread your flour out a little bit, flip it.
And so for this style of pizza, how thin are you ideally trying to take it?
So this is kind of Neapolitan, but not exactly. I like to have a little bit more structure in it. Sometimes those will get really thin, and so thin you have to do like a fold in of the tip to eat it.
Oh, yeah.
The old Neapolitan tip fold.
Yep, tip fold.
Dough looks beautiful. This one we're going to start with some dry mozzarella, same one we used for the pan pizza. Then we're going to hit it with some kale. I like to rip this up a little bit so you don't get huge chunks. There is the kale. It cooks down quite a bit, so you can kind of do more than looks appropriate. Make sure you don't put in the cores. Those are stringy. Then we'll hit it with some pork sausage. They make this stuff at Basta, some fennel and chili flake and whatnot. It's very good. And this is pre-cooked as it goes on the pizza. Things like lamb sausage you can do, but because these bake so quickly, this really needs to be cooked fully before it goes on the pizza. All right. Then we're gonna hit with some Calabrian chilies. I like these a lot, so we can do a lot. And then a little bit of grana, and we're gonna finish it with a little bit of eva before it goes in the oven again. Grab my axe. All right, a little bit of flour again, lift, slide, and then stretch a little bit on the peel. In again. We need some music.
Right? Is that allowed? Can we break continuity?
All right, so I like to drop a log during the beginning of the bake. I dried it out a little bit over here so it'll be nice and ready to go. We're getting a nice lift on that crust. Do you want to pull me another plate?
Another plate, I'd love to.
Thank you, chef.
Oh, chef, anytime.
So you want to wait until until the first side is pretty dark before you turn it, because that bottom needs to set up, or else you'll kind of just get this. Yeah, you can kind of tear the bottom if you don't let it set up completely. Get in there. Oh yeah. That'll do. You want to show it off to the camera?
Oh, do I?
Do the honors.
Look at this.
You can hit that with a little bit of olive oil and some Maldon or salt, and you're boom. Bam.
Well, thanks for having us, Grain School. I hope this was helpful and as informative as it possibly could have been.
We had a lot of fun filming this today.
You crushed it.
You crushed it, Chef.
Dude, thank you.